Hi, this time I'm going to do something a bit different. We are going to be taking a look at this awesome anime fight. It's the confrontation between Emiya Kiritsugu versus Kotomine Kirei. For those of you that are new to the channel, I talk about tabletop role-playing games mostly, but I also talk about other things as well, sometimes like board games, war games, etc. Although my main focus is tabletop role-playing games. I think this anime fight, and anime fights in particular, they are great when it comes to a source of inspiration for your descriptions in tabletop RPGs because of their over-the-top nature. However, despite being over the top, I think it is much better to have a certain realism within the fiction. So I'm going to talk about the things that I like and potential things that I dislike. Yes, some things that could be improved, in my opinion, when it comes to this anime fight. So let's take a look. Oh, and just before, a bit of context for those of you that are unfamiliar with the Fate series, these two characters are the best assassins. Well, now, some fans could get into some technical details that, no, wait, assassin is a class of the anime. No, well, what I mean to say is that they are amazing killers. They are the best of the best, and they know about each other. They, in a certain way, they have some respect for each other. But now that they are in a confrontation, they are going to use any means at their disposal to defeat the other. So, from a sportsman type of perspective, just facing each other at the start, that's as much as you can get when it comes to an honorable confrontation. Now there are no limits. They are going to use every resource in their power to defeat the other, to kill the other character. Okay, let's start. I love the religious attitude of Kirei. You know, like very like, I am right, you are wrong, and Jesus protects me. Very religious of him. Okay, the characters in a tabletop RPG, if you're using a system where you roll initiative, they have rolled initiative. I would say that Kirei took the first one day initiative, but Kiritsugu, he is a ranged combatant, so he's obviously going to have a bit of an advantage. That's why Kirei has prepared these seals beforehand. In order not to further complicate this explanation, these magical seals, they basically, you could think of them as lives in a video game. Kiritsugu has these special bullets, the origin rounds or origin bullets. They are special to eliminate spellcasters. And I'm not going to get into how those bullets were created. It's somewhat of a complex situation. Not that much, but still. But you could think of those bullets as very dangerous for spellcasters. The more magic that you have, the greater the damage. As I understand it, if there are Fate experts in the comments, please let me know if I missed something or got something wrong. So that's the dangerous thing about Kiritsugu. You don't know if he's going to be using normal bullets or the origin rounds. But in this case, Kirei already suspected that he was going to use the origin bullets, so he prepared those seals beforehand. Let's continue.
起源だ。被弾者の魔力は暴走し、自らの肉体を瞬時に死滅させる。何？タイムアウター。ダブルアクセル。
I love the way that Kiritsugu avoids that kick. Of course, he's using his special power, double axle. But when it comes to that, those are the flashy things in a martial arts confrontation. Some people could think, no, you cannot do that. You cannot be cartwheeling around in a real... Take a look at the Gracie Killer video. the Gracie killer against one of the Gracies. I don't think he used them. He used that move with all of them, but he actually does a little cartwheel during one of the fights. So that can actually surprise the opponent. Well, especially considering that the Gracies spend most of the fight on the ground trying to trick the opponent into getting them on the ground. As you know from the Gracie Killer, there is a perfect way to counteract that when it comes to kicking your opponent while he's in the ground. Yeah, so okay. But like I said, this way that Kiritsugu managed to avoid the kick and then took some distance by cartwheeling and he started to use his guns. I think that's great. What I don't like about Kirei's way to avoid this is that he backflips. When it comes to anime jumps, they are overused. The dangerous thing about jumps is that when you jump, you have no control over yourself in the air, unless you have wings or some crazy anime power that allows you to like use telekinesis or levitation for you to push yourself in different directions when you are jumping. When you make that jump, you are completely exposed. You are going to be not a sitting target, but you're a target that follows a trajectory that is easy to predict. So that's why I think sometimes anime jumps are overused, in my opinion. Here we go. Well, just to point it out, in in a tabletop role-playing game, that you have like a flurry of blows ability or something like that. If let's say you are playing like a monk character, perhaps you could describe, or depending on how you handle the situation, the game master, or you could describe that if when you are being attacked by something, maybe a hail of arrows or some similar attack, and you manage to avoid that attack, maybe you could describe that your character is deflecting or parrying all of those arrows with incredible speed. Okay, here we go. Okay, I also love this part because it shows an economy of movement, even though, like I said, this is an anime fight. This is over the top. But Kirei, with just a little jump, a little hop, you can cover so much distance. When I first started to learn martial arts a long time ago, one of my instructors told me when you carry out the basic karate strike, when you are doing the suki, when you are advancing, you don't need to move your feet too much. In a few steps, you can reach the opponent quite fast. And in the case of Kirei, he did this little hop, and through his supernatural martial arts powers, however you want to call them, he basically hovered and advanced who knows how many meters towards Kiritsugu to cut him completely off guard. And now he's striking a very dangerous spot. He's either striking, I think it's the sternum. With enough strength, you can fracture the sternum. That could be the end for many people. For most people, I would say. But as you can see, Kiritsugu is a man of many resources. So he's obviously a hair got on my okay. He's obviously not going to go down so easily. A man of many resources and surprises. Now, I think it's too bad that they had to cut the video in order for YouTube not to take it down. But they removed a little part of that fight that I really like, where Kirei has this very arrogant smile. Before walking away, he thought that he had defeated Kiritsugu. So he was about to walk away, but he made this little smirk, very arrogant smirk, like, you weren't such a big deal after all, kind of like that. You should never, unless you are absolutely certain that a fight is over, you must never become over. You should never, in fact, become overconfident. You never know what is going to happen. And so Kiritsugu woke up because of Avalon, the magical shit of Excalibur. He basically is using its power to come back to life. And maybe you noticed, let's see if I can capture the exact frame where that happens. I love this part in the upper left. A bullet almost got into the skull of Kirei. Now, some of you could be thinking, well, that only happens in anime, right? No, in real life, it gets even cooler. A lot of you, well, hopefully, I'm not sure. Maybe some of you know about Joseph Greenstein, the amazing bodybuilder. Those were real bodybuilders. They only use natural things in order to enhance their bodies, and things such as controlled fasting. They avoided smoking, alcohol. They ate only organic. A lot of them were actually vegetarians. Now, I am not going to try to convince anyone. You should eat meat if you want, but I have been without eating meat for about 4 years, more or less, or more. And I have abandoned all animal protein for 9 months. No, 7, around that. And I think that the problem with most people that I'm going to go full vegetarian or whatever, they only eat very insipid, poorly nutritious things like I'm going to eat lettuce and kale. You need fruit and nuts as well. I also eat wheat, organic. But going back to that, Joseph Greenstein, he had such a tremendous body that he took a bullet to the head. You can verify this. Go look it up. Don't trust me. Go look it up. Then you will know if I am trustworthy or not. Look it up. He took a bullet to the head and the bullet wouldn't go in. He got knocked out. But in the case of Kirei, you can see that there was some internal damage, apparently. It's still very interesting to look at that sort of battle injury. So here we go. Okay, here is something very interesting. Maybe it was because he was caught off guard. He was distracted. He lost focus. He couldn't use his special martial arts superpowers. But you can see here he's pretty much using his arms as shields. So maybe if he had been focused, if he didn't like smirk and I defeated you, maybe he would have managed to resist that attack without taking damage to the head. Maybe it would have bounced off. Who knows? Okay, I know this is completely different, but when it comes to a fight, I love it how our minds are so focused in a real confrontation. Your mind is so focused on the moment that sometimes as you are carrying out different things, different techniques, strikes, kicks, sometimes you get into that slow-mo perception. It's so amazing. There are so many mysteries to this body. I was just telling a friend that I remember one time I was meditating. I was kneeling, basically kneeling on and when you kneel, your legs are going to fall asleep. The blood flow is going to be cut off for a moment, and your legs fall asleep, and now you cannot move them. No matter what you try, it feels horrible. You also feel like this prickling sensation, like somebody's sticking needles or something. If you have been kneeling for, let's say, half an hour or 15 minutes, it's horrible. So it's part of the focus training and all that. If you're going to practice those things, do it with caution, of course. But yes, like I said, I was kneeling, meditating. I remember that I had my Wii U controller to the side, Wii U pad. It wasn't on or anything. I had just left it there after playing. So I was meditating, carrying out my meditation. But suddenly, I heard this flapping noise, horrible flapping noise, and it landed in front of me. And so I got scared, or maybe I would say that I got oversensitive because of the meditation. I didn't know what it was. I had my eyes closed, and I heard this flapping, and I was like, "Oh, what is it? What? It's a bird or it's maybe a bat. Sometimes there are bats here where I live. Here in Mexico, in my area, there are a lot of bats. So I wasn't sure what exactly it was. I got scared, and for some amazing reason, I jumped back. Even though my legs were asleep, they woke up in a fraction of a second, and I subconsciously took my Wii U and slammed it. When I saw it, there was this cockroach, a huge cockroach had landed in front of me. I took my Wii controller and I pretty much killed the cockroach with it. For some miracle, the controller didn't break, but it was so it happened in a fraction. It was like jump, kill the cockroach, but immediately. So it was pretty amazing, and I always wondered if only I had control over my body, to the point that I could, like I said, in a moment where the circulation was cut off from your limbs, you could awaken them just like that. Imagine how many things we would be able to control of the human body. So amazing. And I was saying this because of the slow mo, and now here there is a very important thing. Kiritsugu switched bullets. In battle, you are always trying to surprise your opponent. You must attack in unexpected ways. That's why there are many unorthodox martial methods where suddenly you are attacking with this part of your fist upwards, sometimes downwards. Sometimes you're using your shoulders or your hips to attack your opponent. In the Yagyu Munenori's book, The Sword of Life, or The Life-Giving Sword, I always forget about the title. He mentions the stars, the mountains. They are basically flowery descriptions of the shoulders, the hips, the knees. As you get close to your opponent, you must always be mindful of what lies within your field of vision. So if you're really close, grappling distance, now you won't be able to put too much attention to the hands and the forearms of the opponent if they are out of your field of vision. Maybe you're really close, like I said, to your opponent. Now you need to keep close attention to the shoulders. That's the only indication that will give you some clues as to how the opponent is going to move. So never let yourself get caught off guard. In this case, Kirei didn't notice the switch of the bullets, mostly because of Kiritsugu's extraordinary ability to move so fast or slow down time, any way that you prefer to see it. It's because of that effect. And now these bullets, I think he switched to Origin, if I am not mistaken. Yes, it was Origin. Now he doesn't have any of his protective seals, and he gets completely caught off guard, and this happens. Now, because Kirei isn't like the most powerful spellcaster, well, it is arguable when it comes to his extraordinary martial arts abilities, but when it comes to the formal spellcaster as presented in the Fate series, he is not like the best. So maybe that's why the Origin bullet or Origin round didn't have so much of an effect on him. Like I said, if there are any Fate experts, I would love to know your comments in the section below. Here we go.
Triple Axel!
This is a very intelligent choice on the part of Kirei. His arm is useless. So better put it to some good use, right? Use it as a shield. It's already wrecked. It's already injured. Now you can use it to take further damage so that your other healthy arm is still usable. As much as I like the flashiness of this section of the fight, It's terrible from a martial arts perspective. It begins great. Kirei pulls out his knife with a somewhat exaggerated move, in my opinion. That's also something that I dislike. He kind of like pulls it from behind, unnecessary, completely unnecessary. He will have had a better luck or a better effect by striking forward immediately instead of pulling it back and striking forward. It's all for the flashiness, but I still dislike it. Now, here, Kiritsugu is desperately trying to stab Kirei, but like I said, it started out great with them shifting positions. He started to attack, but now he gets into a this is borderline, this is retarded, completely retarded. They're just standing there in the same position with Kirei using a single arm. Kiritsugu only has one arm usable. They are not in a distance where kicks or perhaps even knees, considering the length of the knife, they are not exactly practical. You could say that they are, but as Kiritsugu, your right arm is perfectly usable. Your I was going to say throw away your weapon, but if you prefer to have it just at hand, just in case, put it in a pocket, sheath it in some way, whatever you want to do, and use that right arm and take hold of Kirei's left arm. Take hold of his left arm. Now he cannot do those fancy parries. He cannot parry your attacks because his arm is being held by your hand, by your right hand. So now you can stab him at your own leisure. But here Kirei is just like, and without moving, without shifting position. Again, if they manage to shift their position, maybe they could actually start to kick and perhaps trying to injure the kneecap of the opponent, trying to injure the genital area. Now, there is a little trick in martial arts. In Spanish, I know it as arco y flecha, which is basically bow and arrow. Imagine that your thighs, let's see if I can get this in camera. These are your thighs, and you have the family jewels in the middle, your genital area. Sometimes, obviously, in fights, the opponent can knee or punch or try to injure or kick the family jewels. If you have your thighs, try to close them like this. If you kind of sense the opponent is going to attempt that, close your thighs like this. And so you create like a little mound. You make the gap even smaller. The opponent won't be able to attack your genital area because the thighs are in the way. This is usually employed when attacking from the side. Perfect way to do it. Just a consideration of how they could shift position while switching to bow and arrow. Let's put it like that. And really, the genital area is quite vulnerable. Some people immediately want to attack the sac, but because of the effects of adrenaline, this has been verified several times. Some opponents under the effect of adrenaline, they can actually withstand the pain. So it is not a certain thing. It is much better, in my opinion, to strike the pelvis. In the pelvic area, you only need 3 kilograms of strength to break a bone, a very important bone there, and you're going to fall down almost immediately. That has to do with the support of the body. So if you shatter that bone in the pelvic area, the opponent won't be able to keep on standing, perhaps keep on fighting, not because even if he manages to go through the pain, withstand the pain, it's structurally impossible for them, unless some miracle happens, but it's structurally impossible for them to keep on fighting from a standing position. Okay, let's continue. Like I said, very disappointed about this part, although it's very cool looking. Shifted position. That's what they should have done. Any of them should have done. If they are professionals, they should have done that quite early in that section of the fight. I also like that maneuver, but again, I wonder if the backflip was necessary. In ninjutsu, in real ninja techniques, there is something called the 8-way run. The practitioners basically constantly train to be able to run in any of the 8 directions. as a professional killer, I think Kiritsugu should be familiar, at least with a vague notion of this. If you have trained in this eight-way style of running or backing away, I think it would have been much better for him to just back away normally instead of doing the backflip. Well, who knows? Let's go. Okay, I'm going to stop it right here because this is where the fight basically ends. There is a huge explosion. Kiritsugu appears positioned behind Kirei, so it's game over. Kiritsugu won. In the wreckage of this explosion, Kiritsugu, well, kills Kirei, although the fans of the series know that some other things happen. But you could say that the winner is Kiritsugu. For me, he is the winner. A lot of people are kind of like, no, Kiritsugu would have never won because normally because he used Avalon. But you could say, well, Kirei would have never won because he had the magical seals and he had this martial arts training. So in a real fight, it's not a sports competition. You're going to use every resource at your availability to destroy the enemy. So yes, I hope this video was somewhat entertaining, if not informative, on how you can portray over-the-top anime fights in your tabletop RPGs. You can have some over-the-top elements, but apply the logic of battle, in my opinion. Apply the logic of a real-life confrontation, like not using too many backflips when they are unnecessary, perhaps, considering the shifting of position, all of that. But as you can see from the video, there were some parts that I really like, despite the over-the-top nature of fate. Thank you for watching this video. I would love to know your thoughts and opinions on this. If you have any other comments or thoughts, please let me know. I'm always thankful for your likes and your comments. And thank you so much to those of you that are going the extra mile to support the channel. If anyone else wishes to further support the channel, the information on how to do that will be in the description below. And remember, it is better to roleplay and fail in character than not to roleplay and fail as a player. Once again, thank you, and see you later.